Hello everyone, my name is Ricardo and I'm a wheel addict. Welcome to the How to Skate Beginners course. Let me start by telling you a little bit of myself. I started as a speed skater when I was 5 years old, and when I was about 15 years old, I turned into a professional skater. A couple of years later, when I was about 22, 23, I finished my graduation in sports science, and I've been teaching skating since I'm about 15, 16 years old. So I hope this gives you a little bit of confidence, and I hope you're ready to start skating. The whole goal with this course is to take you from zero to hero. So enjoy the course. Throughout this course, if you have any doubt with anything that we are going to talk about, well, you can always reach me through the social media or on the email that you find below this course. So enjoy and get ready to skate. Okay, so one of the first problems that you get when you're starting to learn how to skate is, what skates should I get? So I'm going to go through a couple of skates, a couple of different inline skates on the market, and this is obviously not all. There's more when it comes to inline skates. But let me start by telling you what skates I'm going to be using through the course. So throughout this course, I'm going to be using a hard boot shell, which is a plastic boot with a 4 wheels setup. There are plenty of different skates on the market, such as something like this. This is called a tri-skate, and it has 3 wheels. It has advantages and disadvantages compared to a 4-wheel setup. Usually a 3-wheel setup like this has bigger wheels, which will allow you to roll through rougher surfaces. But at the same time, it also has disadvantages, such as having a shorter wheelbase. So the distance between the front wheel and the back wheel, it's usually shorter, and by having a shorter wheelbase means that it's easier for you to fall backwards or forwards. Now on a 4-wheel setup, you are lower to the ground, meaning that you're gonna have more control on your feet, and at the same time, by having a longer wheelbase, makes it harder for you to fall forward and backwards. So as a beginner skate, I really like something like this. Also, both these skates are different. This would be a soft boot skate, meaning that it's usually very, very comfortable. It looks like a shoe when you look at it, but at the same time, it doesn't offer you the same type of support that a boot like this, a hard boot skate, will offer you. So once again, this is something that I really, really like as a beginner skate. Something with a plastic boot will offer you more support. And one of the reasons why you need that is because when you're starting, very often or very easily you're going to put your feet like this or like that. You're going to end up bending your foot, and having the help from the boot to support on your ankle is going to be a huge help. Also, something that I really like about hard boot skate is that this liner, this inner boot, it's interchangeable. So if you're thinking of skating a lot, you are able to wash it, and that's something good. That's something that you really need. Now, something that is very, very commonly used, it's something like this. This is once again a soft boot skate with 4 wheels, and it's usually the most affordable skate that you'll find on the market. If you go to any big sports store, they should sell something like this, but it's usually not the most stable skate. But that doesn't always mean that it's the best for a beginner. As I just said, it's usually not the most stable skate. Most of the times they come with a heel stop. Is it needed? Not really. But through this course, we're going to be talking how to use it and also how to not use it, but still be able to stop. Now, talking about other different types of skates, you have something that is completely different. You might have seen some people jumping down the stairs, sliding on rails. This is the type of setup that they usually use. This is an aggressive skate, and it has space between wheels. It has space on the side of the sole so that people can slide on rails. It's called an aggressive skate, and it's obviously a more advanced type of skate. You also have something like this. These are inflatable wheels, and the reason why you would have something like this, it's because this is a off-road skate. Once again, bigger wheels allow you to roll through like rougher surfaces, but at the same time, having the air inside the wheels will also allow you to go through all those bumps. You can use something like this on dirt or on grass, but it's usually a lot slower. And then you also have something like this. 5-wheel setup, it's usually used for downhill, meaning, as I just said, a longer wheelbase will be more stable, and then it's smaller wheels than these. So by having 5 points touching the ground when you need to do a tight turn at full speed, this will give you more grip, more stability, and it usually works for skating extra fast, especially when you're going downhill. There's different types of boots that can be used for downhill. I usually like to use, once again, a hard boot shell because it gives me more stability. But this is just a small introduction of what's in the market. You will also be able to find super low boots that looks just like a shoe for speed skating. You'll be able to find something like a hockey boot, which usually doesn't have this thing here that is called a cuff, this thing that turns. There's plenty of different skates on the market, but to start, let's focus on something like these. 4-wheel setup, you can go either soft boot or hard boot, knowing that the hard boot usually allows you to change the liner and wash it. In my opinion, this is a very good setup. If this is what you got already, let's work with it. It's going to work for sure. Let's talk about protection. This is fundamental, especially when you're starting to skate. When you're learning how to skate, the number one rule is to always use a helmet. There's plenty of different helmets on the market. I usually like to use something like this, which is known for being like a skateboard helmet. And usually this is something that you'll be able to find wherever you buy your skates. Usually when you buy skates, you'll be able to find a helmet. If you do not want to invest any money on a helmet, I'm pretty sure most people have a helmet laying around. This is also something that can be used and works very good. This is something like a bike helmet, which is also used for speed skating. So either if you're gonna use something like this, or something like this, both will work. Now, it's very, very important to have your helmet securely tight. And one of the reasons why I say this is it's very often that I see people using a helmet like this, which in case you fall forward, you can hit your forehead. That's why you're using a helmet. Or seeing people using a helmet like this. Most of the times, this happens because these two lines that we have here are not right. So basically you want these two stripes that come here to come right below your ear. It's very common to see these lines coming here, or even one of them being way tighter than the other, pulling the helmet forward or backwards. So let's try to make sure that these two lines here on the side will keep your helmet in the right position. Good? We're ready to go. Now, something that is also very important when it comes to protections is knee pads, elbow pads, and wrist guards. There's plenty of different options on the market. As a beginner, I would advise you to go with something that has a plastic shell. Okay? This plastic shell will allow you to use these outside your clothes, and in case you fall, they will last you longer. Now, if you use something like this with a plastic shell underneath your clothes, in case you fall, it's going to be very easy to rip your pants or to rip your shirt. So please have in mind, if it has a plastic shell like this, it will protect you better, but at the same time, if you use it underneath your clothes, it can rip your clothes. Elbow pads, the exact same. Obviously, they come here on the elbows. Now, the wrist guards are a very, very important type of protection when it comes to skating. Especially because a lot of times when people fall, they put their hands down. And by putting your hands down, very easily you can damage your wrists. So this type of protection will not only protect your palms, but will also allow you from twisting or putting extra impact on your wrists. So make sure to use these, especially when you're starting to skate. Now, one last thing, clothing. What type of clothing should you be using to skate? You can basically use everything, from jeans to something more sporty. Try to use something that you'll be able to move instead of something that will make you get like super locked and that you can't move. So sports clothes, I usually like them, but they do not protect as much as jeans or something like that. But I will leave it up to you. You know what skates to use, you know what protections to use. Now, how should you tighten your skates? Well, this is something that it's usually a very common mistake. People buy their skates and they don't really know how to tighten them or how they should use them. Something that I usually advise everyone when it comes to inline skating is, let's not forget, there's a very narrow line touching the floor. So we will be completely depending on the boot to stabilize our ankle. So let's use them tight. Okay? How should you tighten them? Okay. Okay. So either if it's a soft boot or a hard boot, if you have lacing, that's the first thing that I'm going to tighten, and I'm going to tighten the laces as much as I can. Okay? Tighten the lacing as much as you can. Then, depending on the skate, you might have something called a 45-degree strap or a 45-degree ratchet buckle, which is these that I have right here. And now, I'm trying to tighten as much as I can this. It doesn't need to be extremely tight, but you should know is that this 45-degree strap or ratchet buckle, it's what's going to keep your heel on the right position. And having your heel on the right position is going to be very important for you to be in control of your skates. Then on the top, you have the top buckle. And this buckle, it's what's going to give you the stability that you need in order to keep your feet straight. Easy, right? So now, let's do the exact same to the other one. Tighten the laces, now 45-degree strap, keeping the heel in the right position, and now top buckle. And skates are tight, protections are on, we're good. So by now, we have our skates, we have our protections, we're all ready to skate. But where? Where should you be skating? You can skate in plenty of different places, but something that I will advise you, at least at first, is to try to get a place which is obviously smooth and also without any obstacles around you. Very commonly, people tend to be very next to walls or very next to chairs or tables because they think if they're gonna hold themselves to that, it's going to be easier. In fact, that's a lot more dangerous than finding a place that you have nothing around you. Okay, having a place without nothing around you with a smooth ground, it's going to be fundamental when you are starting to skate. Something that you should also avoid is sometimes there's some floors that have some lines on the floor. With inline skates, those lines can be dangerous. If your skates get on the line, sometimes it's hard for you to take the wheels out and then accidents might happen. So let's try to get a smooth surface, something that has no lines, no nothing, without any obstacles around. So you're basically looking for a flat ground, like flat surface. No hills are needed for now. You want to be flat, you want to be on a smooth surface and without any obstacles around. And you're now ready to go skate. So now, let's start. We got all the product, we got the skates, we got the protections, we know where to skate. How do we stand up? That's the first thing we're gonna learn, how to stand up. I'm going to start by teaching you the most basic way to stand up. And for you to be able to stand up, here's what you gotta do. You're gonna put both hands down and both knees. That's all. Now you're gonna shift all the weight to your hands. You're gonna be as heavy as you can on your hands. And you're gonna bring one foot next to your hands and you'll be pointing out. If you're facing forward, you're gonna try to have your feet open about 45 degrees. Still with all your weight on your hands, on your arms, you're gonna try to bring the other foot there. And now slowly, you're gonna bring your feet together while still having all the weight on your hands. This might be hard for some people. So now you're gonna slowly bring your hands close to your feet, and you're gonna try to bring your hands along your legs all the way to your knees. Okay? This is going to be where you wanna come when it comes to standing up. This is all you need to do. Keeping your feet open like this, both your hands on your knees, and this is how you stand up. How do I sit? So sitting is actually very, very easy. All you need to do is to rewind the movement that you've just done. So we're gonna bring your hands down, 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 down. Put your weight on your hands again. And now shift all the way to your hands. Bring one knee down, bring the other one down, and then you sit. And this is how you sit on inline skates. Very, very easy. So, we know how to stand up. We know how to sit down. I could be starting to teach you how to skate, how the skates work, but no. The first thing that I want you to learn is how to fall. And the reason why this is so important is, in order for you to be able to skate, you need to deal with falling. Deal with falling will give you more confidence, and also at the same time, once it happens, because sooner or later it will happen, it happens to everyone falling. When it happens, you know how to deal with it. So let's stand up again and let me teach you how to fall. Both knees, step, two, boom, boom, boom. And now we're here. Okay, now that we're here, we're gonna try to put both feet parallel. So I'm gonna shift all my weight to my left leg or to my right, and when all my weight is on the left leg, I'm gonna be able to move the other one. I'm gonna bring my weight to the center again, and I'm gonna still keep my hands on my knees. The most important fall on inline skates is falling backwards. Falling forwards through all your life, that might have happened with shoes, whatever, running, that can happen. But when it comes to falling backwards, how many times have you stepped on a banana? It's something that most of the people are not used to. So falling backwards, it's the most dangerous one. And what we're gonna do? Well, let's think of what cats do. If I would grab the four legs of a cat, if I would drop it, he would be able to turn and fall on his legs again. Now, that is also happened here. When I fall backwards, the one thing that I always want to avoid is to put both hands back. This is something that you never ever do. Firstly, because you got wrists, elbows, and shoulders that you want to protect. So by falling like this, it's very, very easy to make any type of injury. We want to avoid that. Also, right here, you got your coccyx. When you fall back, very easily you're gonna fall on it. We want to avoid that. So what we're gonna do? Exactly the same thing as cats do. If I'm about to fall backwards, I'm gonna try to bring both my hands the same way. Here's how you can do it. You have your feet parallel, you're gonna be in this position. Now, with your hands on your knees, you're gonna bring your hands forward, and you're gonna try to go as low as you can, as low as you can. And when you're here, I'm gonna try to put both hands on the same side. It might be a bit scary at first, but the reason why you're doing this is because when you put both hands on the same side, you tend to rotate that way. And by doing that, you're gonna end up using your natural pillows, your natural protections, which are your glutes. You prefer to fall on one than on both. So here's what you're gonna do. Again, we're gonna go low, 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 low with your hands in front. When I bring my hands back, I'm gonna shift my weight to my heels. And when my weight is on my heels, I'm about to fall backwards, I put my hands again on the same side. Very important to never fall with your joints locked. You do not want to have your elbow completely extended, okay? So you want to fall and absorb the shock. And this is how you fall. I don't want you to obviously go super fast and try to do anything like that, but having the idea of how this works will help you. In the future, while you're skating, don't panic. If you're going a little bit faster, if you lose control on your skates, try to go as low as you can and fall through the same side. Okay? Hopefully this will help you in the future. So by now, we do know how to stand up, we do know how to sit, we do know how to fall. But what should be the basic position for skating? So let's talk about it. The most important thing is you always want to feel your shins against the front of your skates. You want to avoid falling backwards, and having the shins against the front of your skate right here will help you to prevent that. Now, when I do that, if I look from the top, I will see that my knees and my toes are aligned. So if you look from the side, you will see that my toes and my knees are in the same line. But there's two very important points of your body in order for you to have the right balance. One of them would be your hips, and the other one would be your shoulders. So you want your shoulders to be in the same line of your knees and your toes. And then, if you want to go lower, if you want to bend your knees, you're going to bring your hips back. See? And I got 1, 2, 3. This is the basic position of skating. That's why until here I've been telling you to keep your hands on your knees, because when you keep your hands on your knees, you somehow, without even thinking about it, you are having your toes, your knees and your shoulders in the same line while keeping your hips back. So through this course, when you speak about basic position, this is what it is. Shins against the front of your skate, knees in the same line as your toes, shoulders in the same line as your knees, your hips back. This is the basic position to skate. How do the skates work? Well, I told you before that I wanted you to be here, right? And the reason why I told you that is because when your feet are very close together, they tend to not be very responsive. Let me break down this a little bit. Let's start by putting your feet parallel. If you have your feet parallel, your skates usually won't go anywhere. Obviously, if you are on a flat surface. If you're going to be on a slanted place, you're going to start going downhill. But if I'm in a flat ground surface with my feet parallel, I shouldn't be going anywhere. You know that you should be pressing against the front of your skates. This would be the basic position. And now, by having my feet as wide as my hips, I shouldn't be going anywhere. I can also have my feet closer, and this will not make me go anywhere, but I'm gonna go back to my hips. So, feet parallel, I won't go anywhere. But check this out. If I put all my weight on my left foot, and if I open a little bit my right foot, and then I do the exact same the other way, what happens is my feet will point out a little bit, and when I point out, I'm gonna start going forward. On the other hand, if instead of pointing my toes out, if I'm going to point my heels out, I'm gonna start going backwards. So now we know how we're gonna go forward and backwards. Point your feet out, you're gonna go forward. Point your heels out, you're gonna go backwards. This is how your skates actually work. But if you have your feet very close together, you can still be in the same position without moving. On the other hand, if I have my feet very far apart, if I open my toes, they're going to be a lot more reactive, and if I open my heels, they're going to be a lot more reactive. And this is going to be very useful in the future when we want to stop. But for now, all you need to do is, if you want to go forward, you're going to need to point your toes out. If you're going to go backwards, you're going to need to point your heels out. And that is basically how your skates work. How do we start moving? In order for us to start moving, we actually need to be in control of being out of balance. A lot of times people will say that I cannot skate because I don't have the balance. That's awesome, because you don't need to be in balance to skate. Actually, what you need to do is to be in control of being out of balance. And that's what I'm going to teach you right now. So check this out. My feet are as wide as my hips. And now I'm going to start by bringing my belly button to the top of my left foot. And then I'll bring it to the top of my right foot. And I'm just shifting my weight. Okay? You could have your hands here. You could have your hands here in front. You could have your hands in your back, as you might have seen some speed skaters or some fitness skaters. The whole idea here is to have your body moving as a block. I usually prefer to keep my hands here. In case I fall, I can put my hands down. Okay? Now, by bringing my weight from one side to the other, here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to come to the right, and check this out, up. I'm going to come to the left, and check this out, up. And I'll do it again, up. Up. If you are struggling with this, it will be easier if you keep your feet closer. By keeping your feet closer, you don't need to shift your weight too much in order to open. Please keep in mind, when you put your feet down, if you point your toes out, you're gonna start skating. We don't want that yet. We just want to be in the same position. Okay? And now we're gonna make a little game. Let's see if you're learning this, and let's see if you can win competing against me. So we're gonna open your arms, and we're gonna try to come to the left and bring your right foot up. And now again, 1, 2. The other side, 1, 2. The other side, 1, 2. Easy? Let's count to 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now let's do that competition. When I clap once, you're gonna try to bring your right foot up and stay as long as you can. Let's see who stay longer, you or me. Wait. I hope you won. Let me give you another chance. Let's do it with the other foot. Up. I guess you won on this one. Anyway, I guess you understand what I'm trying to do here. I just want you to shift your weight from one side to the other, and when you have all your weight on one leg, you will be able to bring the other one up. Now, mixing these, what you've just learned previously on how the skates work, that will make you skate. Now check this out. I go to the left, I go to the right, in the same place, right? Now, I know if I point my toes out, check what happens. Very important when you do this. When you put your feet down, you always want your weight to be on top of your feet. Very common mistake, we start putting your feet in front, and this will make you fall backwards. Always remember, you want your shin against the front of your skate, and you want your weight on top of your feet. So a very simple tip that I can give you is every time you put one foot down, you try to bring your head on top of your foot. So it'll be something like here, here, here. This is a very, very simple tip that I can give you, and this will help you a lot. So by now, you know how to move. And one of the first questions that I always get when people start moving is, how do I stop? People usually start panicking. Well, let me tell you that you already know how to stop, because if you know how the skates work, you know how to stop, and I'm going to show you how you can do it. Think about a lemon. You know the lemon shape? Check this out. Remember when I told you if you point your toes out, you're gonna go forward? Now check this. Remember when I told you if you point your heels out, you're going to go backwards? Without even thinking, you are stopping. You're going forward, you're going backwards. This is a plow stop, and you can actually apply these by going faster. Let me show you how you can do it. I'm just skating, and now check this out. This is a plow stop, and you can actually do it. Now, if you look at what I just did, you will realize that I actually opened my legs a lot. And the reason why I did that is, as I just told you previously, the wider your base, the wider your stance is, the more reactive your skates are going to be. So if I'm gonna try to stop like this, it's going to be a lot harder than if I'm gonna do it like that. Obviously, it all depends on the speed, and the more control you start getting on your skates, the easier it's going to be. So when you're starting, it's very common for you to do it just like this. And if you struggle on stopping, don't think about stopping, think about going backwards. You do know how to go backwards, right? So the exercise, once again, think of the lemon shape. You go forward, you go backwards. And while going from forwards to backwards, you are actually stopping without thinking about it. And this is basically how you plow stop. Now, you can obviously apply these at a much higher speed, but we're all just learning. So please try to keep what I just told you in mind and practice it. Practice it first with a small lemon and then try to make it bigger lemons until you start feeling and start understanding how this really works. The most important thing is when you bring them together, make sure that they don't become parallel. You know, to go backwards, you need to keep your heels out, right? Let me show you at a higher speed. See? The plow stop. I just changed my skates. And the reason why I changed my skates is because most of the people, when they are starting, they always want to use the heel brake. I usually don't use the heel brake, but I fully understand that a lot of the people want to use something like this. And the reason for that is for some people, it's just easier. So I'm going to explain you how to use your heel brake on your new inline skates. Here's the thing. Remember when I tell you that the basic position is to press against the front of your skate with your shins. Your knees should be there, your hips go back, and your shoulders lean forward. In this position, if I'm skating forward, I'm rolling forward, I'm going to bring my hands forward, and then I'm going to shift all my weight to my foot that it's not the one with the brake. I have my brake on my right foot, I'm going to shift all my weight to my left one, and I'm going to bring the right one forward. And when I bring it forward, my shin will not be pressing against the front of the skate anymore. And the reason for that is because from here, all I need to do is to bring my toe up and my heel will touch. This will make me stop. Now, it's very, very important to keep most of the weight on the rolling foot, not on the brake foot. And number two, you want to bring your toe up progressively. Don't bring your toe up too fast, because otherwise you will fall. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you very slowly how to do it. You're just going to go like forward, and then once again you go forward, and most of the weight goes on the rolling foot, and progressively you're going to bring the toe of your foot with the brake up. Here's another example. I'm going to show you once again. You roll parallel, hands in front, and this is how you use the heel brake of your inline skates. So by now, you know how to go forward, you know how to stop, but you need to come back. You want to start turning. How do you turn? Let me tell you that with what you know right now, you can actually turn. So think about it. Every time that you're skating forward, you're just pointing your toes out, right? If I'm pointing my toes out, let's say that we're opening our toes about 30 degrees at first. If instead of opening my toes 30 degrees, if I'm going to rotate my leg a little bit more, my left leg, instead of 30, if I'm going to rotate it and put it down at 40 degrees, this will make me start going that way. Obviously, for me to do that with one leg, the other one will do a little bit less. So I'm doing 30, 30, 30, 30. Now think about 40, 20, 40, 20, 40, 20. And without even thinking, you're turning. So a good progression that you can do is actually do it on the floor, just like I'm doing here. If you want to do this while skating instead of doing it in the same place, it's the exact same. You're skating, and now you just go. This is the exact same as skating. All you need to do is to open one leg a little bit more and close the other one a little bit more. So that's basically it. This is the A-frame stop, and it's your most simple way to stop. So by now, you know how to stop, you know how to skate, you know how to turn, but now you want to go a little bit faster. And this is also very, very simple. You do know by pointing your toes out, you start going forward. But by now, you might have started noticing if you point your toes out, you're going to feel like your legs want to open all the time, right? It's going to happen. If you keep your toes pointing out, they're going to start opening all the time, and you kind of feel like you have no control with something like this. You're going to go like this all the time. So what can you do? You're going to start by pointing your toes out, let's say about 30 degrees. And then once you start getting speed, you're gonna start closing them a bit. So it might go from 30 to even 0. In the future, you might even do less than 0. So check this out. You start at 30, and then you start closing, 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 to the point that you are already going like 5 degrees, 10 degrees max. Something that is also very important in order for you to skate faster is, remember the basic position? Remember I told you the hips were very important? Think about it. The more you bend your knees, the more your hips go down. The more you bend your knees, the stronger your push is going to be. So if I'm here, or if my legs are almost straight, my knees are almost not flexed, if I push here, they go up. This is my stride. Now, if I bend my knees and if I lean forward, check my stride. This is on the floor. So by having a lower center of gravity with my knees bent a bit more, bringing my hips back, never forgetting that my shins should be against the front of my skate, I will have more power in my push. Obviously, more power will mean that your feet will not be like this. Okay, you need to close your toes. You do not want to have your toes pointing out, otherwise you're going to be like all over the place. And this is how you skate fast. Let me give you a visual example. So you go the other way. We're almost coming to an end. And my last question for you is, what should you be doing with your arms? A lot of times your arms can help you, but especially in the beginning, you do not know what to do with them, and they will be more of an embarrassment for you than actually a help. So something that will make it easier for you to skate is by keeping your whole upper body with your arms included as a block. So if I'm trying to skate in your direction, check this out. I can get my arms always moving in front of my chest. You might have seen a lot of times the fitness skaters using their hands on the back. Once again, here what you're doing is moving your body in a block and also being a little bit more aerodynamic. But for you, this will work. Now, if you want to know what you do with your arms, it's just like walking. So ideally, if you push with your right leg, your left arm should go up. The same with the other one. So this could be an exercise that you can do. Now, if I want to do this while skating, check this out. Let me do it again. That is basically it. Now you know how to move your arms or how not to move your arms when skating. Should I give one last tip? And now before we finishing this course, I'm going to leave you all a challenge. I'm going to teach you how to do a parallel turn. I don't expect every single one of you to be able to do it, at least by now, but if you want to learn how to do the parallel turn, make sure to check the intermediate course also here on this exact same platform. So how do we do these parallel turn? So this is actually one of my favorite ways to turn on inline skates. I love the feeling of keeping my feet on the ground and being able just to flow from one side to the other. And here on this type of exercise, especially when you're learning, the skates that you will have will actually allow you to make it easier or harder. Having a shorter wheelbase, meaning the front wheel and the back wheel being closer to each other, will allow you to do it easier. Also, having smaller wheels will allow you to have a little bit more control, because we are now starting to talk about edging. And you might be thinking what edging is. Well, until now, we haven't been speaking about the outside edge and the inside edge. Basically, inline skates, the wheel profile is round. Ideally, when you're learning, you want to keep your feet straight, but you can also go on the inside edge and you can also go on the outside edge. Obviously, I do not want you to skate like this. I do not want you to skate like a cowboy. That's not what we're talking here. But through your skating, there will be times when you push that you're going to be on the inside edge. Also, when you're turning, you're going to have one foot on each edge. Let me show you. As you might have seen, this foot was on the outside edge, the other foot was on the inside edge. This is something that will be a bit harder for you to achieve, but I will give you a couple of tips for you to start doing it. So, number one thing, if I want to turn left, it's going to be a little bit counter nature for what you're gonna be thinking. Most of the times, when people want to turn left, they tend to put the left foot in the back, right foot in front, and they try to turn like this. This is the opposite of what you should be doing. If I want to turn left, I want to put my left foot in front. Remember the basic position? Start by the basic position, left foot in front, and now I'm not with my left foot touching against the front of the skate. So on the front foot, my weight is a little bit more on the heel. Now, with my weight more on the heel, I'm able to turn the front part of my skate. And right now my feet are not parallel anymore. Now I get the front one opened a little bit, and now I'm able to shift my weight a little bit to that front one, and the back one will follow. And if I keep the front one turning that little bit, this will make me turn. Check this out. Now, there is obviously a lot more other than my feet. So very, very important will be my hips. So what I usually say is, if I turn left, I need my left foot in front, and it's like if I want to touch with my hips on the opposite side, with my right hip on the opposite side. So lower, front, turn, hip to the opposite side. Now, a tip that is usually very useful when it comes to this, because you're still learning, and to put every single one of these tips inside, it's not always as easy. So let's just think that we got a huge truck steering wheel on our hands. If we got a huge truck steering wheel on our hands, if you turn this truck steering wheel, check what happens to my body. And I end up bringing my hips to the side, and also at the same time I end up turning my upper body to the position where I want it to be, meaning that I'm going to turn my chest a little bit to the side that I want to go. Check this out. So I'm skating here, left foot in front, turn, and these can be applied both ways. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this course. I hope you learned something. I hope you are now able to skate. I hope you went from zero to hero. That's the goal with this course. And if you did enjoy it, if you are able to get to where you wanted to, please share it with your friends. If you have any doubt, please hit me on my social media, send us an email on this platform, and I will try to help you with everything that I can. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one.